Here are 5 industries that I expect to boom after this pandemic is over and how you can take advantage of the opportunity that lies in front of all of us. Throughout history, more millionaires and billionaires are made after a recession or economic crisis than any other time. So how do you take advantage of this time? According to the International Monetary Fund, our global economy will suffer the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression due to this pandemic. The World Trade Organization is saying that global trade will fall anywhere between 13 and 32% this year. Insanity! The OECD, or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, is warning us that the effects from this virus are going to be felt for a long time to come. No one knows when this pandemic is going to end and economic activities will go back to normal. But although there's all this uncertainty about what's going to happen, there's a lot of opportunity out there if you know where those opportunities lie. All through history, events like recessions and pandemics have changed how governments, economies, and businesses function. The Black Death in the 1300s broke what was known as the feudal system in Europe and replaced it with the more modern employment contract. The SARS pandemic of 2002 to 2004 saw significant growth in small companies like Alibaba, which is now one of the largest retail giants in Asia. Just like we see today, that growth was fueled by people's anxiety around traveling and human contact. Remember the financial crisis of 2008? That had its own side effects. Airbnb and Uber skyrocketed in popularity across the Western world as the crisis was forcing people to share assets in the form of spare rooms and car rides in order to cover that deficit. With COVID-19, we're already seeing a shift in how consumers and businesses are behaving. Remote working is increasingly being encouraged by both tech and non-tech companies. Supply chains are getting disrupted globally. Retail stores are running out of ibuprofen, dry goods, and toilet paper. While some of the changes are direct short-term responses to the crisis that will probably revert to normal levels once COVID-19 is contained, other shifts are going to continue and create a long-term disruption that will eventually reshape businesses for years to come. Now, obviously focusing on getting out of health risks posed by the outbreak should be your primary concern. But you should also keep your eyes open for what could lie ahead after this pandemic. Because like I said, once this global pandemic is over, it's going to reshape businesses for decades to come. So let's go ahead and dive right in and see what I'm talking about. But before I do, if you haven't done it yet, now would be a perfect time for you to smash that subscribe button. Alright, let's get started guys. Number 1, digital marketing. Over the past decade, digital marketing has experienced a boom, but the industry as a whole has been reporting some losses because businesses are cutting down on their digital marketing spend. However, the industry is likely to experience a boom after COVID-19 because so many industries have experienced a significant decline in digital marketing usage since the lockdown. The biggest ones to take the hit are travel, transportation, and hospitality. So many businesses are currently shut down. I have a friend who unfortunately had to temporarily shut down their contracting and subcontracting business because of how bad the economy is affecting them. With no cash flow, companies are digging deep into their cash reserves. When this pandemic is over and businesses resume, most of them are going to need to get their cash flow back on track. They're going to need innovative and affordable ways to reach customers, and that's where digital marketing will come to the rescue. If this is an area that you've been thinking of getting in, now would be the time to position yourself in this market. Take the opportunity during this lockdown to develop your digital marketing skills. I promise you it will definitely pay off. Number 2, stock market investing. Warren Buffett is pretty well known for saying, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." Usually markets crash when people start selling off their assets out of fear of losing their money and cut down their expenses. Stock prices go ridiculously low, and that's usually the best time for smart investing. You can buy stocks at cheap prices and just ride through the market's recovery. Now, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that it's a guaranteed thing that every stock is going to recover after a recession. Some companies are going to go bankrupt because, well, that's just the nature of the beast. So you need to do your due diligence and proper research into which stocks it is that you're going to want to invest in. And if I were you, I would probably seek expert advice. Especially if you're new at this, guys, I would highly advise against doing this on your own. Seek that expert advice. Okay, number 3, online education. This coronavirus outbreak has caused schools, universities, and pretty much any teaching institution to shut down for an undetermined amount of time. No one knows how long students are going to have to stay at home. And what do you think the result of this was? People in the traditional education system were forced to take crash courses for online learning plans, and it's also forced developers to create new and better technology for students and faculty. It's like the world was suddenly put into this online education experiment. What happens after this experiment is probably just going to accelerate the changes in the education industry that were already at play. For over a decade now, it's been predicted that online education is becoming more mainstream and will eventually rival traditional education anyways. So, as this online education becomes more and more mainstream, all that's going to do is force changes in the current education practices, models, and processes. Now, obviously, traditional education won't go away completely, but online education is definitely being more and more adopted. Online training and businesses that provide it will most likely boom post-COVID-19, and the ones that position themselves in this space will benefit immensely. Number 4, e-commerce. The COVID-19 crisis is forcing us to quickly adapt digital technologies, remote working, and e-commerce. You've all heard of Alibaba, right? It's an online Chinese marketplace that was founded in 1999 by Jack Ma and a group of his friends. Its major boost happened when the people of China had to stay home because of the SARS virus outbreak in 2002. That quarantine happened just around the same time that Alibaba was getting ready to launch Taobao, an online marketplace for consumers that Jack Ma had hoped would compete with eBay in China. Those Chinese consumers who were stuck at home started turning to the internet to order whatever items they needed. So Alibaba benefited from the internet becoming more necessary for doing business during the SARS outbreak, as businesses and consumers were driven to buy and sell goods online. Now, due to the self-isolation, people who would normally visit physical stores are increasingly shopping online. This increase in e-commerce may very well become permanent if people remain to be wary of mingling in real life and just increasingly replace shop visits with online purchases. You might think that e-commerce has already taken off, but research shows that in places like Africa and Eastern Europe, a very small fraction of people are actually purchasing things online. So after this pandemic, it's more than likely that e-commerce is going to gain a lot more acceptance, especially among the skeptics, like the people from the older generations. Okay, last but not least, number 5, the gig economy. A lot of companies are now trying to cut down on their number of full-time employees and fixed costs after this crisis is over. And that's what's going to accelerate the gig economy, freelance work in general, and any associated startups. You should also begin to prepare yourself to function properly in a gig economy. In the long term, COVID-19 has changed the way businesses will compete with each other over at least the next decade. The businesses that choose to capitalize on these changes are the ones that will succeed, and the ones that don't will eventually get disrupted. I want you guys to give me your thoughts and tell me what you think, or if you think that I'm right or wrong about these different industries. Also, what are some of the ones that you think I missed or I didn't mention? Obviously, there's a lot more out there and I really want to know what you guys think. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like and share button. And if you haven't done it yet, I don't know why, now would be a good time for you to hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, until my next video, you take care and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.